Hello, my name is Rob and I'm an instructor at Simul Academy.
Hello, and my name is Petya and also an instructor at Simul Academy.
And today I'm going to be talking to Petya about some of the upcoming topics that we'll be covering in our October term, which it kicks off in a few weeks' time. Basically, when we begin a new semester, before the term starts, we have a very detailed selection process where the teachers get together and we basically try to come up with a list of topics which are varied and interesting. We include areas from economics through to environment, tech, social, political issues. So today we're just going to give a few samples of some of the themes that will be covered in this next upcoming term. So these are themes which are used throughout our professional English course as well as the Introduction to Interpreting course. Okay. So one of the themes that I felt was quite interesting was about the something called the High Seas Treaty. This is an agreement that has finally been reached to try to protect a proportion of the ocean of international waters as more and more nations are increasingly trying to look to the deep seas to find precious resources, but also kind of things like rare earth metals, and increasingly they're kind of exploiting that environment. So it's obviously having a negative impact on the natural environment below the sea, and that includes some wonderful creatures which can be crucial for example, medical research and things like that. So recently an agreement has been reached, so hopefully that will manage to protect the sea marine life under the oceans. And so that's one of the topics that will be covered in one of our courses. And what about you, Petya? What topics have caught your eye?
So many interesting topics, but one that grabbed my attention, which is, I guess, interesting to all of us, is about life expectancy and how, of course, as everybody knows, recently life expectancy has been rising. And according to the United Nations Populations Division, I think, in the 1950s, life expectancy was something like 46 years, and it's risen in just over half a century in 2023 to over 73 years. And in Japan, of course, it's even high. It's already 80.
Approaching 90 even.
Yes, over 80. So that is wonderful. Not quite doubled, but we're heading towards doubling our life expectancy, which is fantastic. So that poses interesting questions. And I remember recently, a while back, reading a book called The 100-Year Life. And that made me think about a lot of things. And I guess we're all beginning to think about that. Would we live our life differently? Would you live your life differently if you knew that you're more or less guaranteed to live to 90, 100 and over 100? Scientists are pretty much sure already that the pace at which life is improving and life expectancy is improving is speeding up. And even for people who are living now, living over 100 would not be impossible. So what would we do differently, knowing that we are not going to retire at 50 or 60, but maybe in our 70s? And what will we do for ourselves? How would we change our nutrition and lifestyle and skills and continuous learning? And would we want to do the same job for 40 years or whatever that people did before? Would we want to maybe do something completely different in our second life?
Certainly raises lots of
so many different questions. And it's a fabulous thing to be able to live so long, and it presents some challenges, but ultimately we have to find a way to turn it into a blessing rather than a curse.
Absolutely, yeah, and that nicely leads into another theme, actually, which will be covered in a separate course, which is basically focusing on this great unretirement which is taking place around the world, where many people who previously used to look to retire, in early 60s, are now trying to find second careers to extend their working life. Basically, obviously coupled with the rising prices these days, a lot of people have to keep working for many more years, and so as you said, I mean, it's a challenge, but at the same time it offers great opportunities for people to develop their skill sets and endeavor to try new things, and including interpreting, for example, translation skills. And so a lot of people all around the world are now working beyond even 70, and also taking advantage of the technological developments to learn about how to utilize AI and things that will extend their working lives.
Right?
Indeed,
adapt to the new lifestyles.
Yeah, that's a really broad theme and a really
topic,
interesting issue. Yeah, for sure.
So many things connected to it.
Yeah.
Great.
And one of the other interesting themes which comes up in this upcoming semester is about the world's first female Prime Minister. So can you tell us a little bit about...
Dear to my heart.
Yes, indeed.
Half the world's population.
Tell us a bit about her, please,
I was very interested in this topic. So yes, the first female Prime Minister of a country was first elected in Sri Lanka, which was then Ceylon, in 1960. Shirimavo Bandaranaike was her name, so she led the way, and after her a lot of women have followed in her footsteps. In the following years, women like Indira Gandhi in India and Iran in Argentina, and Golda Meir in Israel. Some European countries obviously
Thatcher,
had Prime Minister Thatcher, the very famous Iron Lady in Britain in 1979 was elected, and Benazir Bhutto in Pakistan, which was also quite an achievement for a woman to be the leader of a Muslim country. And since then, according to the United Nations, 174 women have been the heads of state
quite
or
a large
government
number.
of their countries, prime ministers or presidents. So things are changing, and obviously women are making inroads into politics as well, which is a famously non-female dominated sphere of life. However, there are still some notable exceptions for countries which have not had a female leader, and obviously the world's greatest economic and military power, the United States, hasn't yet had a female president. And then, of course, we have Japan, where more women are beginning to be elected to positions in the Diet, but not a female prime minister yet. And I think we have an election coming up within a year. Who knows? Somebody might.
Let's see. I mean, hopefully it's just a matter of time. I'm sure it will be just a matter of time before most countries have a female leader.
And that makes me think. I always think when people talk about women participating more in society and, of course, in politics, it reminds me of what Bandaranaike was asked when she became a prime minister. Something like, she was asked by a reporter whether she thinks women can better address the challenges of the world, whether they can be better leaders than men. And apparently she said with a smirk that remains to be seen. So I hope that simply by more people participating in public life, that things can be improved and we can have a better world.
Great, Well, thanks very much, Petya, for telling us all about that. That's excellent. I hope the attendees for our classes this October will enjoy the topics we've covered. I think we've got a great selection this term, and hopefully this chat has whetted your appetite somewhat as to some of the themes that we'll cover. Of course, we springboard from the report itself and utilize the language which comes up in these reports to practice various other activities, including, for example, shadowing and dictation. But there's also a lot of vocabulary building. We do a lot of context-based learning at Simul, so trying to recognize new language from the reports and the context in which they're used, and that's a very natural way, I think, to acquire language within certain themes rather than just be explicitly taught things. So I think, this is a good selection we've got coming up this semester. I'm pretty excited to teach it.
Yes, great topics.
Very much looking forward to it. So thanks again for chatting with us today, Petya.
And, thank you, Rob.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you in class in a few weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.